welcome to USTC360. I'm your host, Sylvain Chatterson, and when you know the grass won't be terribly greener on the other side, you know it's a good idea to start tending to your own lawn. The Environmental Protection Agency projects that by the year 2100, average global temperatures are expected to increase by 2 to 11.5 degrees Fahrenheit. This will create a trickle effect that will result in major emergencies throughout the world, in its deserts, its tropics, its mountains, its oceans, and especially urban areas like this one. This September, the UN is the host of the Climate Summit here in the heart of New York City. World and local leaders are expected to meet here to address the most urgent issues facing the globe. And the hope is to gain commitments from those who are voicing their support and concern for the planet in order to enact the change they wish to see. And to complement the summit, a string of events known collectively as Climate Week have been organized in the same week. These events are meant to serve as a platform for governments, the private sector, and everyday people to work together on low-carbon leadership and innovation. So today, join me as we put the spotlight on the people and the groups that are taking action for our Earth. Our first stop, one of the week's most important meetings, the 2014 Carbon Forum. I'm now here at the Morgan Stanley headquarters, where the International Emissions Trading Association is hosting this year's Carbon Forum for North America. It's an annual conference that tackles climate policy and discusses carbon emissions trading. What is that? It's an approach to control pollution that provides economic incentives to the companies that are major producers of carbon emissions. In fact, some of the biggest names in the industry are present here today, like Chevron and Shell. And if you're ready to find out more, let's jump right into the forum.
So we're going to be dealing with some really important topics today around how the United States and Canada and Mexico are going to respond to the climate challenge. This particular forum we call Carbon Forum North America because it's an event that brings together the business community that's active in trying to manage their carbon emissions. And there are companies that understand that they have a responsibility, but they need policy frameworks to guide how they reduce emissions. So we bring them together once a year in North America, and we also do events in other parts of the world to try to explore solutions and find ways of doing it cost effectively. There are different things going on led by sort of federal initiatives that require states to respond with specific plans, notably on power plants here in the US. So we're talking a lot about how to harmonize and how to build market-based responses into the state plans so that companies can deploy their capital more cost-effectively as they manage the emissions over time.
In the last 6 years, our energy landscape in this country has transformed in some remarkable ways thanks to efforts at the federal, state, and local level and investment by the private sector.
So the Clean Power Plan is the centerpiece of the President's Climate Action Plan, which he put forward in June of last year. It's the most significant step we're taking to reduce U.S. carbon pollution during the President's second term. And essentially what it does, it sets the first ever limits for carbon dioxide emissions from power plants in the United States. Basically what the proposal does is sets targets on a state-by-state basis and then allows states the flexibility to determine what strategies and technologies they want to use to meet those targets. And between now and 2030, it will cut emissions at those power plants by about 30%. As compared to 2005 levels. It's also going to reduce a lot of other kinds of pollution that cause a range of respiratory and other health problems, so we think it's going to have significant health benefits as well. In addition, it's going to drive investment in new energy infrastructure and create jobs across the country. So the proposal will be finalized in June of next year. The first year for compliance is 2020, but we think that states, once they have their programs in place, will begin to make changes later in the decade.
I think for pragmatic business people, we have to come together and find solutions and figure out what's the path forward so that we can hopefully protect the planet and protect our reputations and get something good done for the public. I think in some respects elected officials are the people that need to set the policy framework. But the other side of it is that business actually has a role in complying with those laws and in deploying the new technology and putting new ways of producing energy on the table. For us, this is a very, very important session because there's a lot of attention on the climate issue and there's a willingness from state and local leaders to engage with business and share ideas about over the next year, what could they put together? So I'll have to come back to you in 1 year and see if these state plans are good market-based solutions.
This morning, we're gathering at the mouth of the People's Climate March, where over 100,000 participants are expected to band together to campaign for responsible management of our planet. So we're starting here in the Upper West Side of Manhattan at 81st Street, and we'll eventually end at 34th Street in Midtown. That's a path that spans over 40 streets and crossing the avenues even to reach New York City's most famous and most popular tourist attractions. Along the route, 6 special areas will guide participants through the themes of this year's march, rain or shine. But before we head there, let's talk to one of the people that helped unite this massive crowd into one. I'm now joined by one of the people that helped put this huge crowd together, Amanda Neshawat from the New Jersey State Leadership Team. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, can you tell me about the People's Climate March?
Sure. People's Climate March is basically the largest mobilization in American history of people who are concerned by climate change. Well, there's actually a really diverse amount of people here, students, scientists, indigenous people, people that are in labor unions. So there's going to be music, marching, chants, art. It looks like it's going to be an amazing time.
And what is the purpose of it?
The purpose of the march is basically to create relationships and collaborate with people that we normally don't collaborate with. And they are doing it now because we realize that climate change affects us all and that all of our issues can come under, climate change effects.
How are you involved?
Well, I'm on the state leadership team for New Jersey, and I'm tasked with getting New Jersey college students out to the march. So with the 9 or 10 or so of colleges that I've been able to help and reach out to the student leaders there and give them resources and support, we've been able to bring about 400 to 500 students.
So with so many resources going into this, what kind of tangible results can we expect?
Well, there's no specific ask or theme for the march, but in my opinion, the best thing that is going to come out of this is the collaboration and relationships that people are building with one another, and having this basically mark the beginning of the climate movement.
Can you share some concrete examples of how this particular march has motivated and also mobilized people to come together?
Well, in my experience working with college students in New Jersey, for instance, people that normally don't rally or are not, completely involved in social justice or environmental justice are now involved and are looking to become more involved in the future. So I do think that it actually is building momentum and inspiring people at the moment. To me, that's really important because it takes everyone to change everything is what one of the slogans is for the march, so.
Why right here in New York City? Why right now?
Well, it's important because today's the 21st. The 23rd is the UN Climate Summit. We really care about what's going on. We understand climate change affects all of us, and we're going to stand together and build a really big, strong movement.
Why is this march so important for you and for the people of Secaucus, where you're from?
Secaucus actually was affected by climate change. Hurricane Sandy really affected our community and surrounding communities. So I know what it's like to live on the coast and have climate change affect us. Young people, scientists, whoever we have here today, are ready to commit to rebuilding the future, and we can do that together.
Lastly, what can people do at home who are perhaps not able to join in the march, or also people who are interested in getting involved? How can they do that?
Get connected to people, to groups in your communities. If you don't have a group in your community that cares about climate change, create one, be a leader. Climate Week is actually slated to be a very exciting week, so get involved in any way that you can.
Well, thank you very much, Amanda, for joining us, and I hope this will be a very exciting week for you.
Yes, it will be. Thanks.
And now let's start joining in on the march. So right now we're kind of just waiting for the march to start. It was supposed to start a little bit earlier, but the streets are backed up for miles and miles and miles. So right now we wait.
We are gonna save the earth. We know what the future's worth. Save the world!
At 12:58, we will have a moment of silence, and that moment of silence will last for 2 minutes until 1 o'clock. It is for the victims of climate concerns and for the victims of wars. If you would, just pass the word back.
came all this way to be here?
Yeah, we left on a bus this morning.
So how excited are you guys now that you're finally here?
Yeah, it's awesome. Super pumped.
Oh, well, it's great being here right now. I come from New Jersey. I think it's beautiful to see so many people out here. It gives you hope for the future that, you know, people actually care about this. And it doesn't have to take something horrible to happen to actually finally do something. And I feel so inspired by seeing so many awesome people here.
Where are you guys from, and how does it feel to be here?
We're from Saudi Arabia. Everybody from every background, from every interest, gathering in one place. It's really awesome.
Save the bees!
At different intervals, there are 6 special themes or sections that will be placed along the route. So for example, we are in section 3, and it's called We Have Solutions. And it invites people who are advocating for food and water issues, renewable energy, green business, alternative transportation, and other environmental organizations. Now, these themes have been created for 2 reasons. 1, to tell the story of the climate movement, and 2, to have these different groups that are advocating for all of these things to come together, to connect, and to unite so that their messages, their ideas, and their hopes are voiced together as one throughout the entire and huge, diverse sea of people that you see here now. So now let's go meet some of the groups that are here to not only talk the talk, but also walk the walk.
We have a will. I think the people, the populace of the United States has a will. I'm here because we have to start doing something to save our planet.
Leaders will follow further away. And then please fill in behind us. And then please fill in behind us.
We're all here for climate justice, and we are ringing in the new era of renewable energy, sustainable transportation, and human power. That's the bike block.
What do we want? Why do we want it? I'm from Massachusetts. I'm a student from Tufts. With all my Tufts people, we're here, out here, trying to boost numbers, trying to make this an event. I'm primarily concerned with agriculture. I spent time working on farms, organic farms, and that's really sort of what I'm interested in right now. I'm studying that in school, and I'm really looking to get involved with that in the near future.
While things are wrapping up here at the Climate March, let's go check out some of the greener parts of Climate Week. I'm here by Bowling Green, New York City's oldest park, and it's the exact place where Manhattan was sold to the Dutch in 1626. But flash forward to today, and the New York's Mayor's Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability says that as of last year, 71% of the city's greenhouse gas emissions came from its buildings. So of course, in densely packed, urbanized, and industrialized areas like this, the carbon footprint we're making is huge. Conveniently, though, young minds at the City Foundation have thought of a few fun ways to show city dwellers how they can remedy the environment with every step. Let's go find out how. So I'm on my bike, and it's time to light up New York City, or at least these 3 light bulbs. So can I start pedaling?
Yeah, let's try the LED first. Okay, try to maintain for 5 seconds. Is it hard?
No, it's okay. I feel a little bit resistance in the back.
Okay. It's about 21 watts. So let's turn it off, and we'll try the second one.
I feel like I'm barely putting any effort, actually.
Okay, yeah, cool. So how much watt it takes? So you can see it's a 33 watts. So let's turn it off, and we'll try the regular one. This is a regular bulb.
An incandescent.
Yeah, and it's the regular one. It's the cheapest one that usually people go with.
There's so much resistance for this one.
The regular one, 98% is for heat. Only 2% left for the light. That's why it takes you the most effort to light it. And for the LED one, around 92% is for light. If we make a smart decision in our daily life, actually make a huge impact to the climate. Try all your effort.
The more I keep trying, the more woo!
Yeah, you can see it's so hard to even maintain 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think I might make the switch today.
Okay, good job. Yeah, we have another carbon calculator if you want to try.
So let's check that out.
And then on one Monday.
We're here by the carbon calculator where we're ready to calculate our carbon footprint. So, Yihan, what can I do here?
Okay, so let me hand over the calculator for you. You can do the math yourself. So let's make an assumption that imagine you're a person living in a 3-bedroom in New York City. The average amount of carbon dioxide people create to the environment over a year is 10 tons. And let's see if you're under or above the average. Do you unplug your electron equipment when you're not using it?
I'd say most of the time.
Most of the time? Okay, then we have to go to the green part. So,
right here.
Okay, yeah, so you can minus 0.5 tons of CO2 in your calculator. Okay.
So after adding up everything here, so far my carbon footprint is just 9.5.
Oh, wow, so you're below the average group.
So now let's head to the vortex. So here, these bottles are meant to show exactly how a tornado works through the vortex in this bottle. Ready?
Yes.
Oh, yours is spinning really nicely. So what's the theme of this year's event?
Okay, so this year, the first time we joined the Climate Week NYC, and our theme this year is compassion for climate change, sustainable living, sustainable loving.
What's the importance of Tzu Chi being here as part of Climate Week then, since it's the first time?
The Climate Week NYC has reached the largest scale this year, and there are over 100 events going on in this month. It's a pleasure to join this whole group. We based on community service, disaster relief. We serving with compassion, so we think that we can use Tzu Chi as a life model to inspire more people to care about the climate change, and each of us can take actions in our life.
While things are wrapping up on a festive note here, let's go head back uptown to see how the U.S. will be moving forward in the next few months. We're here now in Midtown to attend the annual meeting hosted by the Clinton Foundation under the Clinton Global Initiative. The foundation was founded by President Clinton when he left office in 2001, and in 2005 he branched out to create the Clinton Global Initiative to convene global leaders to create and implement innovative solutions to the world's most pressing challenges. Today, we'll join the panel Cities as Labs of Innovation, where you'll see plenty of familiar faces in the arena. Here, they'll share how cities can become more inventive in order to make big changes that affect the people within their limits and the people beyond. So let's listen in.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the CGI for the opportunity to share work with everybody. 2 or 3 different countries. I know Cameroon was affected, and the eastern part of Nigeria was affected along the Niger River. And all the water came down, and we were flooded out in just a matter of hours. All the crops were destroyed in the field. Some people died in other states. And there was just a devastating loss, and for people not to be able to go back into their homes for 5 months and to lose everything when they already have so little. So as a foundation, we switched into disaster relief. We tried to provide food and water, and when they went back into their homes, we tried to provide capital for the farmers to buy seeds to go back into farming because they had lost their crops. So now we're rebuilding, and I think we're very hopeful that we can rebuild from that. The Anam City project really grew out of a problem. I think 50% of kids in our villages are under 20 years old. In overcrowded conditions, no schools, very poor healthcare system, if any. I think our community has been neglected. For many years, it's a very underdeveloped part of Nigeria, even though it's such a productive part of Nigeria. Challenges are really lack of resources. We don't even have energy. We have no electricity. We are off-grid. The other thing is education, teaching farmers how better techniques, helping people to learn new ways to do things that are more effective without destroying the environment. We don't want to start something new. If it's been done and tested in somewhere else and it worked, we'd love to learn that. So we are learning from other places, other countries.
How important is the Anam City development to the people and to the community over there?
I think what it's going to take is partnerships between the community and maybe external partners to come in and help us, particularly with green building. Green building, sustainable building, but also in a way that is more resilient. My hope is that more people will join us, and they'll see how wonderful these people are, how enterprising they are, and how excited they are to build their own communities.
Later, moderators welcomed the co-founders of Water.org, Gary White and Matt Damon.
740 million people who lack access to approved water supply, and 2.5 billion lacking access to sanitation.
You cannot solve poverty without solving water and sanitation. Thank you.
President Clinton also took the time to recognize outstanding groups for their work. But shortly after, he invited yet another distinguished guest to the stage.
So please join me in a warm welcome to President Barack Obama.
Thank you, everybody. Please have a seat. It is the civil society leaders who, in many ways, are going to have the more lasting impact. Because, as the saying goes, the most important title is not president or prime minister. The most important title is citizen. Today, I'm proud to announce a series of new steps. First, partnering and protecting civil society groups around the world is now a mission across the U.S. government. Second, we're creating new innovation centers to empower civil society groups around the world. And finally, we're increasing our support to society groups across the board. We're going to increase our emergency assistance to embattled NGOs. We'll do more to match groups with the donors and funding that they need. And if amid all the restrictions and all the pressure and all the harassment and all the fear, they try to tell you that the world does not care and that your friends have forsaken you, do not ever believe it, because you are not alone. You are never alone. Your fellow advocates stand with you and your community stand with you. God bless you all. God bless all those who are working under tough conditions in every corner of the world.
While we hope the president will indeed take those bold steps to strengthen civil society has already taken the lead. The UN's Climate Summit, which is the driving force of Climate Week, has resulted in 3 major outcomes, and the first was nowhere to be found inside the UN. In fact, it was the People's Climate March, which you saw today, that made civil society's message loud and clear. They've proven to the world that they're willing to fight and do what's right for our planet, 400,000 people strong. The second major outcome was that 32 countries and 40 companies pledged to reduce deforestation practices. And the third, that countries would contribute to what's known as the Green Climate Fund, in which developed countries have donated funds to help less developed ones combat climate change. Now, we'll wait to see what unfolds in the near future, but stay with us as we head to Peru this winter, and next year to Paris for the most important meeting on climate change in history. Glad to have you in on the movement. I'm Dilbar Shatterson, and I'll see you soon.